and never be impressed with followers, degrees, money, titles, or popularity or material possessions or otherwise. Be more impressed with kindness, generosity, respect, humility, integrity, individualism, honesty, intellectualism, and a collective which binds all of us as a human being. And the greater actions that we do in our good, positive deeds that we perform and conduct in every day of our lives. Ultimately, the purpose of our videos is to creating a better world tomorrow, today. Said consciously, I personally never were aware before of how much of a struggle, how much of an obstacle, or the pathways in which the existence of everyday life coincides as a collective or combines itself for those of whom work at malls specifically, or at least any stores in general, or especially retail or one type of industry or another, or whatever it may be, or wherever it may have derived from. Ultimately, the subconscious thought that I've always thought in my mind was of the incentive of thought, of how much of a challenge or obstacle it is for mall employees or workers at specific industries or companies or whatever it may be, of how difficult it was to keeping up with the constant sustainability, the maintenance, the responsibilities to invest their time, energy, and everything else in between as far as working within a company in itself. The constant struggles of maintaining your store, keeping it, as perfect and close to perfection as possible, folding up shirts and here and there. And now that considering I work within the retail industry, and all the time before this, I was a vendor with my family and I at Arizona at the gun shows. And now that I work in retail, being that I am on now the official receiving end of what it feels like, and occasionally sometimes you have people that come in your store with a deliberate or intentional purpose to messing up everything in your store, or sometimes not. However, with this being said, it is truly a struggle to trying to constantly keep up with maintenance, and it's very much stressful. But however, speaking from a customer's perspective that I were derived from the past until present, never had I thought of how much work it is for people that work within retail to, the constant vigilance, the constant supervision, the constant energy devoted into maintaining everything here and there and keeping everything as active. So, and now that I understand completely of how it feels or what it feels like, ultimately I'm able to now, whenever I visit a store or any store and I take out a shirt, I always find the time and that responsibility of investment to approach the store employee, the worker, and I'm honest about it. I tell them that I messed up. I'd taken out a shirt. If you would be so kind, please, if you could fold the shirt to its proper original order of perspective, I would greatly appreciate it. And I thank them for their services, and I apologize on my behalf for even taking out the shirt and seeing it. And certain stores have actually almost all stores should have some sort of LP cover above the shirt in itself. And wow, it's just now I personally myself, even as a customer, attending or like visiting other stores and I mess up a shirt and I feel so horrible, you know, I feel regretful. And that sense of remorse strickens or disturbs the consciousness. And I question the integrity of my values as a human being. I'm not so much concerned of myself as I am of others, and hence the purpose why I ultimately have found a motivation and determination, the light of courage, the light of my obligation, my purpose as a human being, my purpose of being alive and creating these videos to help inspire the world to raise a positive influence of awareness. And nothing could ever alter the past. We must always travel into the light of the future throughout the infinite journey of human life. That we need to focus on the present as well as the future of how to greater ourselves. And I cannot do anything to ever change my past. I cannot ever change who I once were. However, I could change the future. And ever since I started working in the retail industry, I greatly have learned a lesson, if you will. It had somehow awakened or shocked the core deeper within the conscious frame and the foundations that which is of me. I feel so horrible when I mess up a shirt when I go out to a store. I feel horrible because this is what I have to deal with. And I absolutely loathe and I despise the sheer laziness of the modern infrastructure of human beings, of human nature, vanity, or the apathy of human nature, of how we apparently as a civilization, as a population, as a modern society, we cannot adhere to finding alternative methods of ways how we could find that willingness, that determination, that light of courage of how to change ourselves for the positive. How we are so lazy that, we cannot be even honest within ourselves to confront ourselves. We are of our greatest own worst enemies. And we must somehow reverse the darkness into the light. And it doesn't take much effort, it doesn't take much motivation in order for us just to admit or confess our sins of our, the natural designs and the errors of our imperfections, and how we are able to change ourselves, address the issue of ourselves, and then we must proceed towards the next step in the journey of life, so we could actually have that courage to change. And that willingness to change, that capability resides within all of us as human beings. We have the light that is locked or laying dormant deeper within ourselves, if we should believe it or not. And it's just like opening your third eye. So that willingness to change comes from the intensity of our passionate fire, which is the same fire that I embody or carry with me throughout the evolution or progression of time itself. So how I am able to constantly change myself, not towards the negative, however, always for the positive. And one thing I always personally do when I see janitors even, or people work at the malls or work at stores or grocery stores or wherever it may be, I always take the initiative of my responsibility and investment of time and energy of my proficient fire within myself to personally shake the hands, see them in the eye, and thank them for their service, and tell them that, thank you for all that you personally do for us. For, if you're a janitor, well, if they are a janitor, then they thank you for You know, keeping the little collective community that you see there within the mall for their service. Or if they work at a grocery store or a gasoline station, thank them for keeping everything sustained and in order, and for their cleanliness, organization, and the conventional responsibility of their convenience. That they sacrifice their time and devotion, although despite they do receive a paycheck for what they do. However, the greater success should not be derived from. So each time that I see people that are, work at the mall, I thank them for their services, even people and those of individuals who are in uniform. And especially one thing that had disturbed me the other day was I was at a mall. I was on my lunch break. I decided to go out and venture out into the food court. And it was on a weekend. Needless to say, I was a little bit late returning back, clocking back in from work, from my lunch break, considering there were volumes of traffic of customers and visitors at the mall. And it literally takes forever to stand in line to wait for your food, to order your food, to waiting for your food, and patience, and being able to walk from one opposite end of the mall to the other and returning back to the other end of the mall once again. It's very much time consuming. It requires a lot of patience, and patience, fortunately, is something that I very much do have, and I've always had. My only concern, my message to everyone that watches this video, please take the time and consideration and the values to be vigilant over your surroundings. If you see someone wearing a lanyard, obviously have an ID badge, that they work at a specific store of some kind, you should always allow them to go first in line, or at least go ahead of you, if not the first in line. As virtually impossible as that might sound, it certainly does benefit a positive behalf of, for people, for those of us, who actually who work at a mall. So, and it is something that should be practiced in the virtues of every day, and especially in a checkout line at grocery stores or supermarkets. You should always have that common courtesy of respect and that virtue that you hold principle and dear to your heart. What Jen and I always do on our behalf, we constantly take the line divider and put it on dividing the groceries between, or the products of our items between ourselves and the person ahead of us, or the person individual or individuals behind us. And it's a common courtesy that not many people in the generation of today's society ultimately practice. And if we could work together in our collective, in our combined collective, in our unity and through diversity, we could ultimately create a better world through doing so. Small acts, random acts of kindness travels into a light of a journey so much farther than we could ever possibly imagine. And as much as time in itself is infinite, there is an ocean that exists within time that it's not so infinite when you do have to work. So always please consider that and spread awareness for it. Just keep that in a subconscious lodged somewhere in your mind. wherever you decide to keep it inside the archives of your mind in itself. And today, rather I should say, as of last night, I got off a shift, my wife and I. We had returned home, and upon returning home, we had decided to stop at a Fry's gas station where our gasoline tank was almost near empty. And we decided to stop at a station and fill up our gasoline, where it was kind of like a punk rocker individual. It's a very nice, very kind gentleman. He was holding up a sign, and he was out there with the service dog. It was a small female pit bull. And he was holding up a sign that had read, "Out of gas, need money. God bless." And so we decided to, in the process of filling up with gas, I have more than enough money to spare for him. I decided to converse in conversation with him for a little while. I had handed him a $20 bill. I had thanked him for being a human being. I wished him all the greatest of luck. I wished him safe travels in the adventure of his future and of his life. And so upon handing him the $20 bill, he was driving this huge school bus that required diesel. And now keep in consideration that diesel costs a lot more than regular gasoline. So he had expressed to Jen and I, he was standing out there for 2 hours, and he only had raised $5. $5. Obviously, that disgusted me as a human being. It made me disappointed in human nature. I wondered so much of my consciousness first of all, how could we succeed in becoming a greater world in general? And second of all, how could we change as human beings if we are not willing to change or progress towards a future of anything that is positive? However, for that one person that provided him a $5 bill, I applaud them for it. The majority of people, from what I perceived, witnessed, and understood, would not even sacrifice 50 cents or not even $1. So ultimately, he had mentioned of how he needed to raise at least $40 more in order to get, put gas in a car. He was traveling to the other side of Arizona State, near California border. So I decided today, the day after, I'd given him another $20, in which he was absolutely surprised, and he absolutely loved that so much. He was so impressed. He'd given me a big hug, and he told me, "God bless you," and he mentioned of how he would not know anyone else to actually do something like that honorable. And he is absolutely right. Not many people would, and this is what we need to work towards a progression of mankind's future, of how we could ultimately all benefit each other. People are still led to believe that the simplest thought, the incentive that of how we still need a president to lead the country by example. What we need is in this world is love, diversity, acceptance, tolerance, integrity, honesty, humility, humanity within ourselves. And the love that we share as a universe together, that we bind together as a collective in our equality, that we share upon our diversity in each day of our life, to cultivate knowledge, to embrace our differences and yet similarities. We need not to elect officials as corrupt and as sold out as they are. We need to guide ourselves, to guide one another. That's the only greatest success that we are able to truly form in the world. We need the example, we need the influence of the positive energies and the light of the world together. And only together are we able to truly become a more civilized society. Et deceit mundum perluce. And he or she who leads the world through light. So God bless you, everyone. I apologize if this video was much too long. It was just something that was a couple of topics that was lodged in my mind that I needed to address and publicly voice myself. And I will be creating a lot more videos to come, to arrive in the future, so that should be expected to approach here quite soon enough in the near future. Oh, near future meaning maybe tomorrow and the next day. So, and just for now on. So, thank you everyone for watching this video in particular. Please take the opportunity to subscribe to our inspirational project, this YouTube channel. If you're brand new to it, our purpose and our vision, our aspirational goals is to change the world, to lead the example by light the world through positive influence and inspire everyone equally. So, farewell everyone. Namaste. God bless.